G'day guys and welcome to another one of my Digimon ReArise videos. Today we're having a look at ultimate Digimon that you should be keeping. That means Digimon whose final form is ultimate, so no megas, their lower stage or level 80 stage. This is Digimon that stop at ultimate. I've also chucked in a few bonus champions and even rookie Digimon that you should be looking out for to keep. Of course, most Digimon in this game can be useful in very niche situations. This is just the ultimate Digimon I would recommend keeping. I haven't included a lot of older green ultimates which can be useful in the Underworld dungeon, and there might be some other ultimate Digimon that you find useful in specific teams for you. Make sure you read those skills and passives before you decide to sell or get rid of a Digimon. These are just the ones I would recommend that you keep and that can be useful in either Clash, Underworld Dungeon, or even PvP. The first one we're going to have a look at is Gold Vedramon. This guy is available in a ticket banner on the JP side. He's good because he boosts his own power and his own critical rate forever, so it can't be removed, which makes him a good Clash battle Digimon. However, his stats are not that high. He does also build up his power on his sub and main skill. So if you get him in the battle long enough, he can do some fairly decent damage in Clash battle. And he looks pretty cool too. This War Greymon has been in the game for a while now. The only thing you would use this guy for is this passive skill, which is increase the maximum HP of all allies whose personality is brave by 20%. So if you put him on the team, all your red allies get a 20% health boost. His skills are nothing too special, they kind of just boost red Digimon. The Blue Metal Greymon was really useful. He's getting less useful as the game goes on, but his main draw is this sub-skill here, Power Charge. Increase all allies' power by 60%. This overrides any lower power buff, so if you have a 20% power buff, this will boost it up to 60. If your power buff is already above 60%, it's not going to stack, it replaces it. So you'd only use this guy as a sole power buff, or if you don't have any other power buffers, mainly for Clash Battle. I would not recommend this in PvP because you'll leave yourself too open while you're buffing yourself up. It also does no damage, it's just a buff. Doesn't work on your tech allies either. His passive skill and main skills, nothing too special there. This Rapidmon is the newest ultimate in the game on the JP side. He's available in the ticket banner. He is a selfish Clash Digimon, I guess you could call him. Reduces his own skill cooldown by 70% forever for 3 times. And he protects himself from a few status effects there. Even his main skills are selfish as well. He boosts his own tech up to 75%. And, I guess he buffs blue allies power resistance, which is a super niche buff, but I guess that could be useful too. Good in Clash Battle with those boost cooldown reductions and stacking attack or tech as well. This Shikakumon is one of the newer ultimates who was released alongside another ultimate, which I'll show you later. He is good. His passive gives all allies 40% tech forever. So any tech ally, you can whack this guy on the team as long as he's on the field, they get that 40% tech buff. Again, doesn't stack, so make sure that 40% tech buff is the highest one in your team if you want to utilize this guy's passive. He has his own plugins and his main and sub skill, nothing too special. He can spread a little bit of stun and boost your Digimon a little bit, but you mainly have him for that tech buff there. Nightmon. He is he reduces cooldowns, which is always useful, but only to blue allies. So if you're running a blue team, you might run this guy so you can spam a few more skills. I would mainly recommend that for Clash Battle. His main skill and sub skills are nothing too special. Again, a single enemy main skill, so you definitely only want to prioritize this guy for your Clash Battle teams if you're running some sort of tech mixture team. Wisemon is similar to this Blue Metal Greymon. He does pretty much the same thing except for tech allies. So he gives a 60% tech buff to all your tech allies. He increases critical hit rate as well for your blue allies. So he's slightly better than the power equivalent, which is the blue war Greymon. This guy was actually meta for a while on the JP side when they had when they first introduced the weekly typing, because on the blue weeks people would run this guy, buff their tech up, and then just sweep your team. He is getting a little bit less powerful as more tech buffers come into the game, but he can still be useful in certain situations. He also has an error main skill, which is always good. Pandemon! If you watch my waifu summons, you'll know how common this guy is, and if you don't have him, I recommend keeping him. His stats suck. His main skill sucks. His sub skill sucks. His passive skill really sucks. The only reason you would run this guy is because of this. You can get 228 speed plugins for this guy, plus 25. This guy is lightning fast. You'll be outspeeding so many opponents if you just plop this guy on your team. The downside is he's a bit of a liability, especially if you lose that speed tie with him on your team. He's going to get taken out quite easily. But mainly, if you want to spend those points on his 2 plugins, you can get his speed to absolutely ridiculous levels. Speed only though. This Chirinmon is really good healer. I actually use this Digimon on all of my Underworld dungeon setups. So the passive skill gives red and green allies a HP boost, makes you tankier. You get on the main skill, you can inflict skill lock, and you get a regen buff. So every time you use a skill, or a counter or a normal hit, you recover 300 HP. Which is really good. Again, it's only red and green. Does apply to itself as well. And sub-skill, another heal by 40%, all allies. So if you're running a red/green kind of setup, you can set up the regen buff. When your health gets low, even with that on, you just pop this heal, you're back up again. Double heals, really good, and a tanky passive. Definitely keep this guy. He is not on global yet. He'll be released soon-ish though. This Rapidmon was a gift. He stops at rookie, which means his stats are super low. Look at that, 8 speed. But he does have a healing skill and he increases defense on his passive. And he's a rookie, so he's super low cost. If you have any room for him in your Underworld dungeon, you can just whack him on there, hope he gets off a few heals before he dies. Can be useful. Alright, moving down. Magna Angelmon. This is one of the only OG ultimates that I've got on my list, alongside the Wisemon, the Pandemon, and the Middle Greymon Blue. This guy has a block rate passive. He has 2 allies by 80% heal. He's basically just a healer with a slight defense block rate boost. He's not the best healer in the game, but if you're strapped for healers, you need a low-cost healer. He's probably one of the best ones from the original batch of ultimates from when the game was released. This guy is pretty much, he was a meta changer. This passive skill, man, 50% minus to all enemies' defense. 50%. 50% to all enemies' tech damage resistance, minus 50%. So, if you pair this guy with any hard-hitting tech Digimon, they are going to hit so hard. And when this guy was released, he was so popular. He was in the top 2 or 3 of the rankings on PvP, just because of how much he could make any tech Digimon just sweep. His main skill and sub-skill are nothing special, but this passive, man, just have him on the field. Even Ulforce had a little bit of a comeback when this guy was released, because he could just one-shot anything that didn't have a damage limiter or evasion. Really good. Only available from ticket banners. You get tons of tickets on the JP side. We've got tons of tickets to his banner, and a lot of people pulled him, and he's really good. This Lucemon fighter mode was an egg reward for Clash Battle rankings. He's okay. He reduces tech damage resistance, so makes the enemies a little bit weaker to tech, and he has 2 evasion stacks on him. He does hit hard on a crit and ignore blocks, but because he's an ultimate, his stats aren't that high, so he's not going to be doing absurd amounts of damage. I would recommend him if you want to use him in a Clash Battle team. Next up is this Sylphimon. He was released with the Shikakumon. What this guy does is he reduces skills for purple Digimon, and he boosts his own tech, and his sub-skill has a chance to paralyze, so that's nothing important. Basically, if you're running some kind of purple-oriented team, 30% skill cooldown is really, really useful. This Omikamon is super interesting. If you've watched my yellow Agamon video where I hit 2 million damage in one skill, this guy's kind of like the lesser version of him. This guy was released first, and you can see very rarely deal 20 times damage. So that's that special critical effect. Because he's a rookie, his stats are quite low, but you can still get some pretty high damage off if that passive activates. I think it's even lower chance of activating than the yellow Agamon as well. It's something like 3%, so I wouldn't be relying too much on this guy, but he can be a fun little meme to use. This Pandemon DFQ, I tried to exclude DFQ Digimon from this list, but as a general rule, all DFQ, or as it's called on global, SDQ Digimon are worth keeping. Never sell them, they all have their uses. This guy is exceptionally good. Protect all allies from poison burn forever, really good. Underworld Dungeon is screaming for that. And 40% defense. He's an ultimate, so he's got a low cost. That's a kick-ass passive. Definitely worth running on some of your Underworld Dungeon teams. This guy is super powerful. He gives 30% power resistance and 30% tech damage resistance to all your allies forever. Can't be removed. Unless there's very niche skills that can remove that, but forever is really good. Any skill that says forever is normally pretty good. That will be really, really noticeable in PvP. He's one of the ultimates that can be used in PvP, because that will make him and your allies really, really tanky. You will notice it a lot if you run this guy. The rest of his skills, nothing too much to talk about. He's a passive bot, but a good one. Rapidmon does a very similar thing. He gives 40% to all allies power damage resistance and 40% to all allies tech damage resistance. What was this guy? 30%. So it's actually better to run Rapidmon. Oh, it's got that turn restriction. So if you have both of these, I guess you have to toss up. Do you want the permanent lower buff, or do you want a temporary higher buff? Interesting. Greymon is along the same lines, except he blocks defense and block rate forever. This guy is super high on the PvP rankings in JP, even though he's an ultimate, along with Omikamon. They're both in the top 10 of most used Digimon. 40% defense is huge. 40% block rate will be noticeable unless you're using Digimon that ignore block, which are becoming more and more common. These three are like holy trinity of defensive ultimates. You can put any of those on your team, there will be a significant improvement to your defense, and you'll really, really notice it. Don't run these two together though, it doesn't stack. You have to choose one or the other. This yellow Pandemon, you could farm him up to super level 10 with his own skill things. He has his own plugins as well. His main draw is he increases block damage from 50% up to 60%. So you'll take a little bit less damage when you're blocking. Nothing too crazy. I use this guy occasionally on my Underworld Dungeon teams if I'm having trouble with my defense and survivability. But there is definitely better options. Don't get rid of him though. The Agamon Goggles version, he is low cost and he protects all allies from poison, burn and error. Underworld Dungeon, hello. Same with the Vmon with Goggles, except he does electric shock, paralysis, freezing and stun. So the Agamon will protect you from damage over time, and the Vmon can protect you from immobilization skills. Both of them are low cost options for Underworld Dungeon if you want to whip through that without those status effects. So there you go, guys. They're the ultimates that I recommend that you keep. Doesn't mean the others are useless, but a lot of, especially older ultimates, have either super selfish passives or super niche passives, like protect blue allies from a single skill or a single status ailment, or increase yellow allies pinpoint rate by 20%. Not effective, especially when there's more powerful options here. I have excluded DFQ Digimon, or most DFQ Digimon. I missed this Angelmon though. But as a general rule, don't get rid of them. They're all pretty good, and I'll make a video on all of the DFQ Digimon that have been released so far, so you can have a look at them as well. One more look at the Digimon that you should be keeping. Remember that they have, you won't pull them in these forms, you'll pull them in a lower form, so make sure you keep your eyes out for, like if you're pulling this Chimeramon, make sure you keep your eyes out for any of these silhouettes, because they're the ones you want to keep. And always long hold on the Digimon that you want to check what their final form is before you get rid of them. I hope this video has been helpful for you. Let me know if there's any ultimates that you love to use, if there's any champions that you love to use, or if there's any rookies that you love to use as well. I've really tried to include all the ones that I find useful, but there may be some other ones as well. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment, make sure you subscribe, because I do heaps of videos like this, summons, guides, everything you need to be a really good Digimon ReArise player. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!